In 1437, a real-life voyage of the three wise men took place in Florence. Well, not exactly, and there was only one wise man. Let's rewind. In 1437, a delegation by the Byzantine Emperor and the Orthodox Patriarch made their way to Venice for a council seeking to unite the Eastern and Western churches. The council was eventually moved to Florence in 1439, but we're focusing on one particular member of the delegation, George Gemistos Platon. The 80-year-old philosopher's journey from Byzantium to Florence captured the imagination of the humanist thinkers at the time, including Marsilio Ficino, who, if you remember, translated the Hermetica from our last episode. It was so notable that by the end of the council, a procession of men dressed like the Magi following the star dazzled the delegation. 20 years later, Cosimo de' Medici commissioned a fresco called The Journey of the Magi, and the inspiration from that council was pretty obvious, especially given that Cosimo was thought to have been taught by Platon to a certain degree. We also know that Ficino wrote to Cosimo saying that the spirit of Plato had flown to him like a bird to Florence. This notion that a wise man from the East was traveling to the West to debate church matters was certainly not lost on the humanist thinkers. Platon was seen as inheriting wisdom that Plato must have derived from some ancient sage source like Zoroaster. We'll be questioning this line of thought in future episodes, but stick with me for now. This general idea of Plato inheriting knowledge from ancient sources is called Platonic Orientalism. Born in Constantinople, George Gemistos was very popular back home, having occupied several administrative positions and for his philosophical works. His big break, however, seemed to have come with this council, with him picking the pen name Platon during this period. Platon being a second Plato. His major works were also composed during and after the council. Platon is going to play a very important role for the humanist thinkers in that he's going to establish a line of transmission of ancient knowledge from Plato going back even further, going down all the way to the Renaissance. And these ideas are going to be very impactful for later church debates. So who exactly was this Platon guy? That is going to be the subject of our next episode of TeaSoteric. However, if you would like to catch up, I'm drawing most of my work, well, all of my work, from Wouter, Hanegraaf, Esotericism and the Academy, the go-to source for this knowledge. In the meantime, you can also catch up on the previous episodes where we discussed Hermeticism, Giordano Bruno, and where this idea of ancient wisdom and philosophical knowledge lost throughout the ages comes from. We're going to see how the idea that all religions share a common core has a very rich history that is unfortunately not talked about much. However, we'll get there slowly and eventually. In the meantime, thank you for watching another episode of TeaSoteric.